Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining today's live stream. My name is Tammy DaCosta, and I am here from CoinW to bring you the latest on what's happening in crypto markets. Now, if you are watching markets, we are going to do a presentation today to show that it seems like risk appetite is back again, or at least temporarily, and this is posing, well, it is a positive catalyst for crypto markets as well as for stocks. So if we just look at the presentation and if we look at Market Watch at the moment, it's just uploading. I apologize for that. But let's just do a quick run through while the presentation is trying to load. Okay, I think everything is all right now. So there's being green across the screen. So if we're looking at today's price action, before we go to the charts, we'll just do a quick run through. Now, this was previously, I prepared this about half an hour ago, but you can see that according to the futures or just overall, we can see that there has been an uptick in optimism. We can see that with regards to Bitcoin, and we can see it with regards to altcoins as well. So it has been nice for Bitcoin to actually see prices going back above 87,000, and this opens the door for a potential continuation to 90,000, which is our next key technical level. Now, before we proceed and look at the charts, we're just going to quickly look through some of the other catalysts that have been boosting optimism or sentiments, and just some of the top stories that we have seen that are playing out and influencing that risk appetite. So overall, once again, we can see that, okay, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Binance, we can see that now, we are seeing positive gains, and it's just going to be to actually see if after quite a bleak February and March, to see if we can actually end March on a more optimistic note. And I think a lot of those, the risks that we've been discussing with regards to tariffs, with regards to overall sentiment, that's definitely going to remain a key theme, at least for the next, well, not only for the next quarter, which is already quickly approaching, that's already the end of April, but just for the remainder of the year, especially the first half of the year, I think there's still a lot of uncertainty that, we're seeing, that is definitely influencing markets and is influencing crypto. But on a positive side, one, we saw, okay, MicroStrategy, it was former MicroStrategy, now they just Strategy. They are the largest crypto holding company, while the largest corporate holders of cryptocurrency, and they added to their position, they added approximately $600 million worth of crypto, while Bitcoin over the weekend, and that's obviously also showing that optimism, and that's also boosted sentiment, at least for today. And this is via the BitBo exchange that we can actually see MicroStrategy and how their holdings have increased. Okay, so just to put it in perspective, they had a $1 million, a 1 million Bitcoin. That is their goal. Currently, they are just short of 500,000 Bitcoin, and you can see that the acquisition cost, okay, it's an average of 66,360. Currently, they're holding just below 500,000 Bitcoin, and this comes in, or it brings in, just that theme about institutional adoption, and just to show that these companies, even though they haven't been as aggressive in their buying, at least not this month, now this shows more optimism, and we can see that one thing is for sure, that corporates aren't necessarily unwinding positions. We have had some of those sales, but recently something or a company like Coinbase and Strategy that are actually adding onto their positions, that still eases tensions, or at least it does ease sentiment especially with the broader market, and if we're looking at that institutional adoption. So currently, the value of their holdings is about 43.8 billion. Okay, so total investments approximately 33.1. So there is a unrealized profit of about 10 billion. So once again, this is positive for the crypto environment. Now, another thing that we need to look at, and what I find is very interesting, is a lot, especially on X, I was following, there are quite a few, especially throughout March, there are quite a few AI announcements or projects that show the potential for an AI crypto partnership. And if we will, the next slide does actually touch on some of those projects. But if we look at the top gainers for today, this was also at 13:30 UTC. And if we look, there's a lot of those other, for example, swarms. We're looking at Griffin. So today we are seeing a lot of those innovative coins that are now coming into play, and that are also benefiting just from the shift in risk appetite. And we see the same applies to the stock market at the moment. Now, if we look at some of those projects, like I mentioned, if there's our agent protocol, hard protocols, our agent launchpad, and these are just a few initiatives that are once again projects that are now focused on AI and working with crypto just to pave the way for a crypto AI revolution. And once again, this actually just sets the precedence for the fact that both AI and crypto are here to stay. And the fact that now companies are actually exploring these initiatives and actually investing more to see, okay, how can we actually regulate it, and how can we actually make it into a tool that can actually pave the way forward, not only for finance, but just for technology as a whole. That's still very, very positive for crypto as a whole, and especially for the innovation side. But then we still do have a lot of headwinds at the moment, and a lot of that is basically based on current sentiment. We do see, if we're looking at the economic calendar, so we've had some manufacturing PMI data. Tomorrow we've got business climate data from Germany. But what really, really is important is Friday's data. And that is when it's core PCE. So this is the US inflation data. And this has just also been influencing, obviously, expectations for interest rates that have been having an impact on volatility, especially for risk-sensitive assets, and because it then looks at the economic implications of higher interest rates and etc. But for today, we focused on current price action, and this is when we can actually go. And now let's go to, let us actually look at the screen. Well, let me share my screen, and then we will see what is happening on the charts. Okay. All right. So here it's just an overall market performance. As I said, this is pretty much just showing you the fact that there's a lot more green. If we're looking at Bitcoin, okay, it's now trading around 88,218. So it's making positive gains. And we see that next, that 90,000 coming back into play. And that's been a really, really important level, not only because of our psychological level, but it has also been, well, it is psychological, but we have seen a lot of liquidity and changes in liquidity happening around this level previously. So let's just do a general overview so we can see, even if we look at the right-hand side, we can once again see the fact that there's a lot of green there is showing us that, okay, today is an update. Today is all good. But now another factor that's really, really coming into play is with regards to tariffs. And when it comes to tariffs, and this comes into the fact that we have seen Trump now putting a lot of pressure on other countries because he's saying that there's unfair terms of trade. And this means that he has been pushing for tariffs to be, he's wanting tariffs to be placed on certain countries, on certain sectors. And this has also been a key theme that's been driving price action and has been quite negative for risk assets, for stocks, and for crypto, especially throughout this month. And now we are getting some of those easing of those fears. Those tariffs are, we are expecting more tariffs to come into play on the 2nd of April. But now we have seen that there's been a bit of shift in sentiment.